Hello, thank you for joining us today. Please make sure you mute your mics and turn off your cameras as this will allow for optimal presentation quality. Okay, I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. I'm Shoshana Williams and I provide technical assistance for Titles 1 and 5.
I'm Erin Suddeth. I'm the branch manager for the Title I Part A Support and Improvement branch, and Title V is included in our branch.
Hi, I'm Chris Jarbo, and I am a team leader for Title II Part A.
Hi, good morning. I'm Layla Brewer. I'm one of the program consultants for Title IV Part A.
Hi, I'm Cayman Triplett, and I'm one of the Title III consultants.
Okay, anyone else on here from KDE? Okay, then we'll go ahead and get started. If you have questions during the presentation, please do drop those in the Teams chat and we will answer those at the end. And if you have a specific question regarding a title, a certain title program, please add that to your question so we know who to address the question to. First, today we are going to be hearing from consultants from each of the titles with the goal that you will better understand how to support each of those title programs with your Title V funds. Don't forget that the webinar and PowerPoint will be posted on the KDE website on the Title V portion of the website after the conclusion of today's presentation. First, I'm going to present Title I since I do work with Titles 1 and 5. Title I Part A is one of the largest federal programs supporting elementary and secondary education. The resources are intended to ensure all children have a fair, equal, and significant opportunity to obtain a high-quality education, support students' ability to achieve proficiency on challenging state academic achievement standards and assessments, target districts and schools in the greatest need, and supplement, which means to increase the level of service, not supplant or replace other funding sources. Let's look at district set-asides. Although there is money to be set aside at the district level, the true intent is that Title I will be a school-based grant. It is important not to set aside more funds than necessary at the district level. Mandatory set-asides include homeless, our 11 McKinney-Vento recipients, the 17 districts with neglected institutions, and parent and family engagement for any district with an allocation over $500,000. All other set-aside categories are optional. The set-aside guidance link is provided here for you, and it's a very detailed document issued by KDE with further information regarding set-asides. The parent-family engagement set-aside is often supplemented by Title V funds. In general, this component has many requirements. School and district parent-family engagement activities fall into two general categories: providing parents notice and information regarding the education of their children. They have a right to participate, request teacher qualifications and the 4-week notice, and implementing activities that engage parents and families in the school community and with their child's education. All districts and schools have required activities that must be conducted with parents. For example, parents and families must be consulted on the use of the parent and family engagement funds, be involved in the development of the Title I program, be involved in the Title I program evaluation at the school level, and be involved in the development of the district and school level policies and school compacts. Parent and family engagement requirements must be met by all districts, whether they set aside funds for this purpose or not. Before we go over any allowable use of Title V funds to support other title programs, please don't forget that federal funds must align with the principles of RAND. RAND stands for reasonable, allocable, necessary, and documented. I did cover this in depth during our last Cadre, and the information can be accessed from the October RLIS webinar and PowerPoint posted to the Title V portion of the KDE website. There are many ways to support Title I with Title V funds. Support for students is allowable but not limited to RTI and credit recovery services, certified teachers and teaching assistants, proportional benefits for Title I salaries, and counseling, school-based mental health programs, specialized instructional support services, mentoring services, and other strategies to improve student skills outside the academic subject areas, and also pre-K summer and extended day programs. Support for support staff is allowable but not limited to data management staff for Title I, secretaries and or clerks for Title I, stipends for principals outside of contract hours, and nurses for summer and Title I programs. Support for program supplies and materials is allowable but not limited to instructional materials for Title I programs, computer-aided instructional software for Title I programs, diagnostic and progress monitoring materials for Title I programs, and technology to upgrade the educational program. Title I parent and family engagement is allowable but not limited to a parent liaison or coordinator, family engagement consultants, stipends for staff to plan for and participate in Title I activities outside of contract hours, and costs for activities, including materials, transportation, childcare, and light refreshments. Support for professional development is allowable but not limited to stipends and or substitutes for staff, PD aligned to a school-wide program plan or directly related to the needs of participating Title I students, educational consultants, reasonable supplies and materials for PD, and travel costs are allowable if they relate to the grant program activities. Please note that your district should have a travel cost policy that is applied consistently across federal and non-federal programs. The policy should cover mileage, airfare, lodging, meals, and or per diem rates. Hotel rates for conferences or trainings must be reasonable. Other ways to support Title I include field trips aligned with academic content. And please make sure that these are not for social or entertainment, recreational, or reward or incentive purposes. They must meet instructional objectives and be pre-approved by KDE as part of the consolidated application. You can also use Title I funds or Title V funds to support Title I as preparation for and awareness of opportunities for post-secondary education in the workforce. Things like CTE programs and dual credit, also advanced placement, international baccalaureate, early college, high school programs, those are all allowable. And also student awards for effort and achievement, but not participation, which are nominal and non-monetary. It is very important that these awards be directly related to academic achievement and for students only, and they must be very inexpensive. They could be things like certificates of recognition, stickers, or pencils, things of that nature. This slide contains some helpful resources for Title I with hyperlinks included. The first one is actually the link to our KDE Title I page. It has general information and resources and the contact information for Erin Sudduth. The resources included on that page are part of the second bullet. Each of those sets of bullets has their own link that you can click on. The links are only available for the first two bullets on this page, but if you go to our Title I page, there are links that you can click on to read about all of those things as well. Okay, now we're going to hear from our Title II consultant.
Okay, can you hear me okay? All right, thank you. Title II Part A is a federal program that provides supplemental funding to help support effective instruction. It is unique in that the funding from Title II Part A can only be spent on teachers, principals, or other school leaders, and it's not, these funds are not meant for directly to students. The intent of Title II Part A is to better equip teachers, principals, and other school leaders in these 4 areas, and that is increasing student achievement, improving teacher and principal effectiveness, increasing the number of effective teachers and principals within a district, and then making sure that low-income and minority students have an equitable access to effective educators. Title II can be used for a wide range of activities that support the quality and effectiveness of teachers. You want to do the next slide? And other stuff, and I'm just going to say educators just for just the sake of conversation. But the expenditures typically fall within these 5 categories. I'm going to provide a brief description of each, and then give a few examples and then guidelines regarding allowability. You are always encouraged to prioritize initiatives that have the highest impact on teachers and therefore will have the highest impact on students based on the identified needs of your district, and then address those with evidence-based actions or activities. Please feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat, or if you think of something afterwards, feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the team, and my contact information will be provided in just a second. So professional learning is one of the most common uses of Title II Part A funding. Any PD that is funded through Title II or any other federal program should be evidence-based, and there is also federal criteria for professional development that should be met, and that includes that the PD is ongoing, job-embedded, data-driven, student-centered, and is sustainable. So this is not the funding that would be appropriate for short or one-and-done trainings. This is more for a long-term initiative that will be impactful, over the long run. Please also remember that Title II funds can only support PD that is above and beyond what is required. So these funds could not be used for any of the 24-hour PD hours that are required, but only professional learning that is in addition to that. Supplemental PD can really be a valuable tool in district improvement initiatives when you intentionally align it with identified needs. So recruitment and retention are other big areas that Title II funds are used for. They do go hand in hand, but they can also stand alone depending on the needs in your district. Staff shortages are very common right now throughout the state, throughout the nation. And Title IIA funds can be used for initiatives to help recruit staff into your district, and also increase the effectiveness of the staff that you already have. So some examples of allowable recruitment expenditures would be hiring bonuses for teachers that you want to put in shortage areas, providing study materials and test fees for taking the praxis, tuition assistance for paraeducators or instructional assistants that have a desire to become certified, paying moving or relocation expenses to attract district to your staff. Staff to your district, providing a grow your own initiative or paying expenses relating related that from someone in your district to attend recruiting fairs at local colleges to also try to bring candidates into the district. Teachers who are entering the workforce now through alternative certification, they have unique needs, and teacher induction has changed a great deal from just 3 or 4 years ago. Title II Part A funds can be used for teacher induction or new teacher programs, and through that intentional professional learning can be customized to meet the needs of your new staff, whether they come through a post-secondary route or an alternative route. And this training may be classroom management or lesson design, content standards, whatever needs that these teachers might have to support their growth and effectiveness. So also along those lines is teacher retention, which is also a need that I think is really growing throughout the state. Title II funds can be used to support the retention of effective teachers, and this may look like providing stipends for them mentoring new teachers, paying fees associated with national board certification or other opportunities for growth, subscriptions to professional associations or conference attendance. Funds can be used again to pay for that supplemental professional learning that will strengthen experienced teachers' skill sets or elevate their current skills to a new level, maybe prepare them to teach in a other content area. Partnering experienced teachers with teachers who are new to the profession is another retention tool that supports both. It supports the new teacher by giving them an opportunity to learn, and then it can support the mentor by giving them that elevation within the school. Funds can be used for stipends for both of these and also for substitutes to cover the classroom teachers as they learn from each other. And I did see the question, and I'll get to that in just a second. Class size reduction is a use of Title II funds that also really fits in retention. It is obviously good for students when it is done correctly and evidence-based, but it can be used as a retention tool in terms of having teachers work in a class, in a school that has smaller class sizes. There are some criteria that go along with that. It needs to be an evidence-based strategy. It needs to make sure that it is sustained evidence. So if student achievement and teacher retention is impacted by that, you need to show evidence of it if it is continued. Cap sizes have to be met in those classes, and also any class size reduction staff does need to have current certification for the grade level and content area. Creating optional pathways for teachers also included in Title II, and it does fit with the PL and recruitment and retention in that it gives teachers opportunities to grow even though they may not want to leave the classroom. And this usually takes the form of instructional coaches or teacher leaders. And these may be teachers that lead and facilitate, plan PLCs or training for staff in their area expertise. The last section of this is sometimes held separately, but it really is part of just an overall good plan, and that is an equitable distribution of effective educators. This funds, when spent in this way, may be signing bonuses for teachers that choose to work in low income or high poverty schools. It may be to have professional learning provided for those staff that address situations that may be unique to that population. Anything that supports strategic teacher placement so all students have that opportunity to succeed. So this next slide shows just a few examples of some allowable expenditures and non-allowable expenditures based on what we typically see in applications. And so this is not an exhaustive list by any means. There are other ways to use the funds, but these are pretty typical. Wanted to specifically mention that the request and why they're not allowable, because all of these things are very important in terms of teacher effectiveness and student achievement, but anything that is considered standalone is not the best use of these funds. The professional learning provided with Title II does need to be an ongoing thing, and again, fit those federal guidelines and be part of an overall long-term improvement plan. Curriculum development, assessment development, data analysis, also very, very important, but Title II funds cannot be used to do those per se, because those are normal district functions. Title II funds could be used to train teachers on how to develop the curriculum, how to use the assessment data, and so forth. And then the other ones, food and things like that, those are not allowable. Materials also per se are not allowable, but for under Title II, but materials that accompany a professional learning opportunity are allowable. Any materials purchased need to be connected to or essential for the professional learning that's being conducted. So if there are any questions, let me check that chat. That is my contact information, and then a link to our webpage, which has resources. And I always suggest maybe looking at our handbook. We've tried to be very thorough in updating it. So let me see. So Title II funds can be allocated to hiring bonuses, yes. That being said, the position does need to be considered a critical shortage area. So that is based on statewide data on what positions are not being able to be filled. And then that would also need to be directly identified as a need within the district. But yes, they are. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Hello. Before I get started talking about Title III and the use of those funds, I wanted to quickly speak about the core English language program, civil rights obligations, and the LAU plan. So the core English language program, all districts must establish a core EL program to ensure English learners attain English language proficiency and develop high levels of academic achievement, and to ensure civil rights obligations are met. It's important to note that civil rights and EEOA required EL services cannot be paid for with the Title III federal funds. Next slide, please. In addition to ensuring that civil rights obligations are met, which I'll speak about on the next slide, here are several other goals of the core EL program that ensure language proficiency and academic development are achieved. So meet all civil rights requirements for serving ELs, choose an educational approach, identify and assess the students, provide an evidence-based program of services, provide staffing and resources, implement state criteria for transitioning students from services, and maintain accurate data and reporting in order to monitor transition students, periodically evaluate and revise their program, and receive funding allocations. The civil rights obligations to ELs, all districts and schools have an obligation to provide appropriate services under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the EEOA of 1974. These services constitute the district's core EL program. Again, it's important to note that civil rights and EEOA required EL services cannot be paid for with federal funds. Next slide, please. Each district must have an up-to-date LAU plan designed to meet civil rights and EEOA requirements and must be created by a team through consultation with stakeholders. The LAU plan is a working document that should be regularly reviewed and revised. Districts may include additional information at their discretion. Next slide, please. So Title III Part A EL program. Title III is a grant program that provides supplemental funding for the existing English learner program and language education services the district is required to provide. Funds should supplement other federal, state, and local funds that are used to meet civil rights obligations. Funds cannot pay for resources that would otherwise be purchased with state and/or local funds. Next slide, please. Required activities would for Title III, Title III requires 3 activities be in place as part of a district's EL program. So an effective high quality language instruction educational program, effective high quality professional development for all staff, and parent, family, and community engagement activities. Some allowable activities using Title III funds would be family literacy, parent and family outreach and training activities, recruitment of and support for staff trained to support immigrant children and youth, providing tutorials, mentoring, and academic or career counseling for immigrant children and youth, activities coordinated with other entities to offer comprehensive community services, and basic and additional instructional services to support immigrant children and youth. And some examples might include things like additional tutoring or collaboration with a local community center for events that support EL students and their families. Here are some additional resources I would encourage you to check out in support when determining how you are going to use Title III funds to support your EL students and their families. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions or need support, I'm always happy to help, so feel free to reach out. That is all I have for you unless there are any questions.
Okay, so Title IV Part A is the Student Support and Academic Enrichment Grant, and it is a pretty broad grant with a lot of possible uses for funds. The intent of the grant is to improve students' academic achievement by increasing the capacity of states, districts, schools, and communities to provide all students with access to and success in well-rounded education, to improve school conditions for student learning, and to maximize and enhance the use of technology in order to improve the academic achievement and digital literacy of all students. The purpose of a well-rounded education is to provide an enriched curriculum and educational experiences to all students. So funds could be used for STEM education, music arts, or college and career counseling. Other additional uses include social emotional learning, civics education, or career and tech programs. Districts could look at using funds for bullying and harassment prevention, relationship building skills, or school dropout prevention. Districts will want to consider building school and community relationships, preventing human trafficking, looking at suicide prevention, or using funds to support students and staff in recognizing the signs of abuse or neglect. Districts can also look at supporting student physical and mental health, like with possible mental health services, trauma-informed classroom management, or health and safety practices in school or community athletic programs. We did recently have the passing of House Bill 63, which limits districts' use of federal funds for funding school resource officers. We do have the link in the PowerPoint on the guidance for SROs. So districts can level fund a position that had been approved prior to the House Bill 63, but it cannot fund anything that would be in addition to what was previously approved in an application that was approved prior to House Bill 63, because it would then violate the supplement or supplement not supplant requirement. The third section of the grant is using funds for effective use of technology. This area's main focus is on professional development, training, and support for teachers, principals, and other school leaders on the integration and utilization of technology in the classroom. So funds must be used for increasing the effective use of technology to improve the academic achievement, academic growth, and digital literacy of all students. So funds can be utilized in a variety of ways to support professional learning on using technology to support personalized learning, blended learning strategies, and STEM activities. Chris had mentioned earlier that it must be the ongoing, long-term, job-embedded, data-driven type of professional development, and that is a federal requirement. So it also applies to any professional learning that may be supported with Title IV Part A funds as well. So some ways funds can be used as stipends for teachers to attend training that's not part of the required 24 hours of professional learning, which can include travel and registration for technology trainings or conferences. And funds can also be used for consultant fees, stipends for technology coaches, or subs for teachers providing training or support for teachers participating in activities under this section of the grant. So we've seen some examples of districts creating learning cadres based upon grade level or content area to learn new technology strategies. Okay, and this is our contact information. You can either reach out to me or Lee Bowling if you have any questions. There's also a link to the Title IV Part A webpage and the District Coordinator Handbook.
Okay, if you have thought of any questions that you have not asked yet at this point, please go ahead and drop those in the Teams chat and just make sure you add in what title you're addressing that to, so that you know how best to support that title with your funds. Okay, looks like we don't have any questions. I was going to do a helpful resource spotlight. Our Title I admin email subscription was provided to all school districts for the 22-23 year at no cost by KDE. The emails come to your inbox twice a week with very helpful articles on Title I and the other title programs. And I have an example. On November 15th, they do have an article that you can read in that email called Do Tap into Title II Part A Funds to Develop Initiatives for Retaining Hiring Staff. In addition, there was one that came out just this morning, and it was all about EL, like working with EL families and doing, I believe it said training parents in English skills. So that had a lot of great ideas. So please use this resource. If you're not receiving these emails, please contact your Title I coordinator if that's not you, so that you can begin receiving them. They're very helpful. So please utilize that resource. Thank you for logging in today. We do appreciate your attendance. Please do feel free to contact me at any time by phone or email. And don't forget that this webinar and PowerPoint will be available on the Title V portion of our website shortly after we end today. And those links are available for anyone to access, not just the Title V coordinator, as well as all the links that have been provided all throughout our presentation. Anyone can get on the KDE website and access any part of the links that we provided. And then also I'm going to drop the survey in the chat. Please do complete that so we can continue to provide webinars that are most helpful for you and a good use of your time. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that, and looks like we have some questions about Title V funds.
Yeah, we've got a couple questions about when the allocations are going to be uploaded into GMAP, if we have a date on that or not. We don't have a specific date at that point. I know it's going in when all of the other revised allocation amounts in the consolidated application are uploaded. And some of those, I believe, that just finished or are finishing getting the last bits of data needed to do those allocations. So once all of those are ready for the whole consolidated application, Title V will go in there as well. Sorry, we don't have a more specific date for you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm copying the link and trying to get back. And that is the huge link to the survey. So I did put the smaller link in your email that I sent out yesterday, the email reminder, but they both are the same link. Please do, like we said, complete that, because we love to get your feedback so that we can make these as helpful as possible. Thank you and have a great day.